In recent months, Clone Force 99 has gone from being a fairly obscure bit of Star Wars lore to having their own TV show. We've all gotten pretty well acquainted with the Bad Batch by this point, and with their various special abilities. Each of the batches is unique, and each is a formidable opponent in combat. But how would they stack up against each other? Which member of the Bad Batch was the most powerful? In this video, we're going to try and answer those questions.
Attention, Sergeant on deck!
First things first, we're going to be counting Crosshair as part of the Bad Batch, and we're going to leave out Omega, who would just end up ranked last. Don't get us wrong, we love Omega, but this is a heavyweight fight, and she's not quite cut out for it just yet. Secondly, we're going to be looking at 4 factors in particular: physicality, willpower, intelligence, and dexterity. We're going to rank each Bad Batcher according to each, and then determine overall rankings from there. With that out of the way, let's refamiliarize ourselves with the squad. The Bad Batch was a team of elite clone commandos, 4 of which were bred with special genetic mutations, and 1 of which was Echo. They were more independent than the Regs or even other clone commandos, as their opposition to the Galactic Empire after the declaration of a new order suggests. Like most clone commandos, each member of the squad worked as a piece of a whole person, with the squad being nigh unstoppable when it worked together. Each of the members of the Bad Batch could still hold their own in a fight, of course, but they weren't quite as effective alone as they were in a group. Of the Bad Batches, Wrecker definitely stood out the most. Towering over most of the clones, this commando on steroids was larger than life, and he had a personality to match. His physical attributes were absolutely legendary. He was known to shrug off blaster bolts, and he could flip over an LAAT gunship unaided. In combat, he was totally lacking in subtlety, known for brute force tactics that made full use of his strength. Of course, as is the stereotype for these sorts of characters, Wrecker's strength came at the cost of his intelligence. He wasn't stupid by any means, but of the members of the Bad Batch, Wrecker was the least intelligent, and he wasn't very maneuverable either. Tech was pretty much Wrecker's opposite. He was a bit scrawny for a clone, and somewhat lacking in physical strength, though he was still strong enough to meet the GAR's basic combat standards. Tech's main attribute was his extreme intelligence and capacity for in-depth analysis. He was virtually a walking database with a memory for random facts that rivaled that of a supercomputer. He wasn't the most impressive in combat, but he was not to be underestimated, as he was known for coming up with creative ways to defeat his opponents. Those of you who have been watching Star Wars: The Bad Batch with us may well have forgotten about Hunter's special ability, as it hasn't been relevant for virtually the entire show. Hunter had enhanced senses which allowed him to track his opponents with uncanny accuracy. He was attuned to planets' electromagnetic fields, allowing him to essentially feel where a given target was, so long as they were on the same planet. It was a neat trick, but one that didn't come with too many advantages in combat. Aside from his super senses, Hunter was skilled with knives as well as blasters and could hold his own in a fight. Crosshair was best known as an expert sniper, but his abilities went beyond that. His precision and hand-eye coordination were unparalleled, and he was capable of pulling off insane trick shots, though he relied on Tech's help for some of the more elaborate ones. His observational skills were definitely worth writing home about as well. Pretty much nothing could escape his notice. All of this came at the cost of strength, however, and apparently it came at the cost of willpower as well, since Crosshair was more prone to be influenced by his inhibitor chip than his brothers were. Now, Echo was a bit of an odd case. Originally a Reg, he became an ARC trooper and then a Techno-Union science project over the course of the Clone Wars, before finally settling in with the Bad Batch. He didn't really have powers per se, but his cybernetic enhancements allowed him to easily interface with computer systems, which gave him an edge against Separatist droid units during the war. He was a genius with technology and worked well with Tech as a result. In terms of physicality, Wrecker easily comes first. Strength and endurance were his special traits after all, and nobody else in the Bad Batch even came close to him on this front. Hunter was a distant second, as his preference for close quarters combat meant he would have developed his physical traits a bit more than Tech, Echo, or Crosshair. Echo would rank just behind him, with his cybernetic enhancements allowing him to compensate for the frailty of what was left of his body. Crosshair and Tech, in that order, would rank close behind him, since their jobs didn't require much physicality. Looking next at Dexterity, Crosshair is another easy first. This isn't just because of his hand-eye coordination. Crosshair was shown to be quite good at dodging incoming blaster fire, and as a sniper, he would need a lot of dexterity to be effective in any event. Hunter would again rank second in this category, with Tech close behind him. Echo would have been weighed down a little by his droid parts, and Rekka would rank far behind him, as he's been shown to have had really poor coordination in the Bad Batch. Intelligence was Tech's special trait, and he ranked far ahead of the other members of the batch in that category. Next comes Echo, who was smarter than most clones, even as a reg, and got a boost in intellect from his cybernetic implants. Crosshair would rank next, since he was shown in the Bad Batch to have outsmarted and outmaneuvered the Bad Batch on several occasions, proving he had a good mind for strategy. Hunter would then rank next, and Rekka would rank behind him by a fairly large margin. With apologies to Rekka, he just wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed. Lastly, we have willpower to look at. This one's a bit harder to determine, but we believe Hunter would rank first in this category, as he's been shown to be much more determined than the other members of the batch, and his protagonist syndrome usually comes with a touch of willpower on top of that. Behind him would rank Tech, whose mental abilities would probably contribute to his willpower. Echo would rank behind him, as he was less independent than other batches but still resisted his inhibitor chip. Rekka would then come next, since he made a strong effort in resisting his chip but ultimately could not. Crosshair then ranks last in this category, since he was the most susceptible to the chip and ended up giving in to the Empire. Now let's move to overall rankings. First things first, we're gonna have to rank Echo as the least powerful of the Bad Batch. Unlike the other batches, his enhancements only had very niche uses in combat, and what the Techno Union did to him limited his combat potential severely. He only had one hand, which meant that he couldn't even make use of heavy weapons to compensate unless he stumbled upon a turret that was Scomplink compatible. Hunter gets 4th place. As far as combat went, he was sort of a jack of all trades, master of none type. He was moderately good in a lot of categories, but of the 4 original members of the Bad Batch, each of the others had categories in which they simply outmatched him. Additionally, his enhanced senses could have easily become a weakness in combat, potentially allowing him to be stunned by EMP blasts. This might be a surprise to you, but we're putting Rekka in 3rd place. The reason for this is simple. He was laughably easy to outsmart and outmaneuver. Consider how easily Fennec beat him on Pantora. He was strong enough to use cars as makeshift weapons, but anyone who could avoid getting close to him had nothing to worry about. I mean, you could probably just dangle a bag of Mantel mix in front of him and he'd walk right into a trap. Tech gets 2nd place. He could think circles around virtually any opponent, and that sort of intelligence is much more dangerous than any amount of raw strength. An opponent who could get close to him would probably have had an easy time taking him out, but the likelihood that Tech would allow anyone to get that close was low. He was essentially Rekka's opposite in that respect. We're ranking him above Rekka for the simple reason that Rekka was extremely predictable. With Tech, on the other hand, you could never know what to expect. Finally, we're giving 1st place to Crosshair, and by a pretty big margin. No matter what, Crosshair would always see and shoot his opponents first with unnerving accuracy. He may not have had the willpower to resist his inhibitor chip, but he had the stopping power to take out entire platoons before they even caught sight of him. Make no mistake, Crosshair was incredibly dangerous and easily the most powerful member of the Bad Batch. But that's just our analysis. What do you think? Do you have your own rankings? So be sure to let us know if you agree or disagree with our one, and leave your own list in the comment section below. As always guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.